Late nights spent poring over accounts and encrypted emails uncovered not only financial discrepancies but something far more personal, a betrayal that shook her to her core. Her husband, Victor Blake, the Academy's executive director, was siphoning funds under the guise of development expenses. Even worse, Cassandra discovered that Victor was grooming Lauren Spencer, her executive assistant and a rising star in the Academy's violin program, to become both his new protégé and lover. Cassandra's heartbreak solidified into icy determination. Victor had not only betrayed her trust as a wife, but also undermined her creative vision, attempting to credit Lauren with Cassandra's own compositions and present them as original works at the upcoming gala. Betrayal and theft intertwined, leaving Cassandra with two clear choices: retreat into humiliation and obscurity, or confront the man who had stolen both her love and her legacy. She chose the latter. If Victor wanted to erase her contributions, then she would make sure the world knew exactly who Cassandra Blake truly was. As the prestigious gala drew near, Cassandra meticulously crafted a plan that would expose Victor's treachery in the most public and devastating way possible. She contacted her attorney, Margaret Caldwell, a formidable presence renowned for dismantling corporate deceptions with surgical precision. Together, they prepared to reveal the truth. The gala would be a night of celebration, Victor had insisted, and it would be, Cassandra decided, just not the celebration he expected. Cassandra's discovery began with a restless night in her penthouse office, her fingers gliding over spreadsheets with the same precision she applied to her compositions. What initially seemed like a minor discrepancy, an unaccounted $25,000 donation listed under development expenses, sparked her suspicion. The Academy had always prided itself on financial transparency, a value Cassandra held as dearly as her artistic integrity, but Victor, with his charisma and casual charm, had gradually shifted more and more administrative control away from her over the years. Cassandra's instinct told her something was off, so she delved deeper, her sleep-deprived eyes scanning every line of the financial reports. Hours melted into days as she pieced together the puzzle, uncovering a pattern of dubious transactions. Donations redirected to personal accounts, phantom scholarships allegedly awarded to fictitious students, but worst of all, she found payments made to luxury hotels and high-end boutiques, transactions that could not be explained away by any legitimate Academy purpose. Determined to unearth the truth, Cassandra accessed Victor's private emails, a violation of his privacy, perhaps, but what she discovered justified the intrusion. Buried among the endless threads of correspondence were intimate messages exchanged between Victor and Lauren Spencer. Victor's flattery and encouragement went beyond mentorship. He lavished Lauren with gifts, the most recent being a Cartier bracelet identical to the one Cassandra had once admired during a gallery event. It was the same bracelet she had assumed Victor was saving to gift her at the gala. Her anger burned hotter when she realized Victor's betrayal was not only personal but professional. Lauren, the ambitious, brilliant violinist Cassandra had taken under her wing, was being groomed to replace her both in the Academy and in Victor's life. Victor had promised Lauren her own concert debut, using compositions Cassandra had written and painstakingly refined, with no credit given to their rightful creator. The betrayal was more than a simple affair. It was a systematic erasure of her contributions, a theft of her artistic legacy. Victor was not merely cheating on her, he was attempting to rewrite history, to crown Lauren as the Academy's new creative genius, while pushing Cassandra into obscurity. Her initial shock gave way to clarity. Cassandra realized Victor's manipulation went beyond their marriage. He had weaponized her trust, using her dedication to the Academy to keep her preoccupied while he maneuvered behind her back. She could almost admire the cunning if it weren't so venomous. But Victor had made a critical error, underestimating her resolve. Her pain crystallized into cold determination. Cassandra's love for Victor had been genuine, but love alone would not fix what he had broken. With every piece of evidence she uncovered, her plan sharpened into focus. This betrayal would not end with her quietly fading into the background. If Victor wanted to steal her legacy, he would have to do it in front of the very people who respected her talent the most. Cassandra vowed to make sure of it. Cassandra's heartbreak had hardened into something far more resilient: resolve. With every revelation of Victor's betrayal, her strategy grew clearer, her actions more precise. She sought out Margaret Caldwell, a sharp-witted and unrelenting divorce attorney known for her surgical dismantling of fraudulent business practices. Margaret's reputation as a champion for wronged women was legendary, and within their first meeting, she pinpointed Cassandra's advantage: the Academy's partnership agreement. Hidden within the fine print Victor had likely never bothered to read was a critical clause: infidelity on his part would result in Cassandra gaining majority ownership of the New York Philharmonic Academy. Victor's arrogance had always been his blind spot. He was too consumed by his own ambition to consider that Cassandra might be preparing for a battle of her own. Margaret's legal team moved swiftly, compiling evidence not just of Victor's affair, but also of his embezzlement of Academy funds. Cassandra hired a private investigator to gather definitive proof: photographs, receipts, and financial records detailing Victor's unauthorized transactions. The evidence mounted quickly, a testament to Victor's recklessness and belief in his own invincibility. But Cassandra didn't just want justice. She wanted acknowledgement. For years, her artistic brilliance had been overshadowed by Victor's charm and talent for self-promotion. He had always been the face of their success, while she remained the force behind the scenes, crafting masterpieces that bore his name more prominently than her own. Meticulously, Cassandra prepared her grand reveal, timing every detail to perfection. She coordinated with Margaret to ensure that her legal documents were ready to be served immediately after her announcement. Invitations to the Academy's 15th anniversary gala were subtly altered to include board members, prominent patrons, journalists, and music critics, individuals whose opinions carried real weight. Every step of her plan was deliberate, calculated to achieve maximum impact. On the surface, Cassandra continued her daily routines, her expression calm and gracious. But beneath that composed exterior, she was a storm gathering strength. Victor had made the mistake of underestimating her resolve, and now, as the night of the gala drew near, Cassandra was ready to reclaim what was rightfully hers. The stage was set, the audience prepared, and the final act of her performance would leave Victor shattered before the very world he had tried to control. The evening of the New York Philharmonic Academy's 15th anniversary gala arrived, with all the grandeur Victor had insisted upon. The grand hall gleamed under the glow of crystal chandeliers, their light reflecting off polished marble floors and sleek, elegant decor that evoked an air of timeless sophistication. Cassandra Blake walked through the entrance alone, her presence commanding the room's attention. Dressed in an exquisite sapphire gown that hugged her figure with regal precision, she looked every bit the artistic titan she had built herself to be. Her expression was serene, her eyes sharp and unyielding, masking the storm of emotions she kept tightly reined in. Around her, New York's elite mingled: donors, critics, board members, and artists, who all revered the Academy Cassandra had spent years perfecting. Victor was already working the room with his usual charm, his easy laughter echoing as he complimented patrons and posed for photos. Beside him was Lauren Spencer, her presence cloaked under the guise of assisting with event coordination. Cassandra noticed how Lauren's hand lingered on Victor's arm, how her eyes gleamed with the entitlement of someone who believed her place in the Academy was secure. As Cassandra moved through the crowd, smiling graciously at familiar faces, her phone buzzed with a text from Margaret Caldwell. "Everything is ready. Signal me when you're prepared." The knowledge settled her nerves. Her plan was already in motion. All that remained was execution. Victor finally approached her, his eyes sweeping over her appearance with what once would have been admiration. Tonight, however, Cassandra only detected suspicion. "You look stunning, Cassandra," Victor said, his voice smooth but lacking its usual warmth. "Thank you," she replied, her tone equally polished. "You've certainly gone above and beyond for this event. A truly spectacular showcase of the Academy's achievements." The compliment was genuine, but laced with a double-edged meaning only Victor would grasp. The Academy's success was as much her creation as his, something he seemed determined to forget. Dinner was served amid polite conversation and subdued laughter, but Cassandra could feel Victor's attention straying more and more toward Lauren, who lingered at the edges of the gathering, her gaze fixed on Victor as if waiting for some secret signal. Cassandra's eyes caught the glittering Cartier bracelet adorning Lauren's wrist, the same design she had once admired, and thought Victor intended to gift her tonight. The sight of it cemented her resolve. As Victor rose to begin his speech, Cassandra's hand hovered over her phone. This was the moment she had spent months preparing for. Victor's speech was eloquent, his words dripping with flattery as he recounted the Academy's history and the so-called partnership that had made it all possible. But there was no sincerity behind his praise of her contributions. He spoke as if the Academy had always been his vision alone, his success solely earned. Cassandra let him bask in the glow of his own arrogance, until he reached the point of inviting her to the stage. She rose gracefully, her movements slow and deliberate, capturing the attention of every guest in the room. "Thank you, Victor," Cassandra said with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. "But before we continue, I have something important to share." As she signaled Margaret, the room hushed to a tense, expectant silence. The performance was about to begin, and Cassandra was prepared to steal the spotlight Victor had so selfishly claimed. Cassandra's voice cut through the elegant hum of conversation like a blade. "Tonight is a celebration of the Academy's accomplishments, of the talent and dedication that has made it thrive. But as we recognize success, we must also confront the truth." Her words were measured, clear, and directed with pinpoint precision toward her audience of patrons, critics, journalists, and board members. Victor's smile faltered as he realized she had seized control of the night he had carefully orchestrated. Cassandra continued, her gaze sweeping the room. "I have spent 15 years pouring my soul into this Academy, but tonight I stand before you not only as its co-founder, but as someone who has been deeply betrayed by the very person I trusted most." Gasps echoed across the hall, but Cassandra remained calm, her poise unshaken. She reached into her clutch and produced a sleek black USB drive, holding it up for all to see. On this drive is the truth, documentation of financial misconduct and personal betrayal committed by Victor Blake, the man I once believed was my partner. Margaret Caldwell emerged from the shadows, her sharp gaze daring anyone to challenge Cassandra's words. Cassandra handed her the drive, and Margaret connected it to a tablet she had prepared, ready to broadcast the files to the large screen behind them. Victor's expression twisted between fury and fear as the projector flared to life, displaying documents detailing his unauthorized transfers of Academy funds to personal accounts, and extravagant purchases meant to seduce Lauren Spencer. Photos taken by the investigator Cassandra had hired appeared next. Victor and Lauren entwined in the intimate glow of a candlelit dinner, exiting luxury hotels together. Victor gifting Lauren the very bracelet Cassandra had once admired. The audience murmured in shock and disbelief, the evidence undeniable and devastating. "Victor Blake has not only violated the vows of our marriage, but has also undermined the integrity of the Academy," Cassandra announced, her voice strong, unwavering. "While I was dedicating myself to developing new programs and refining our artistic vision, he was siphoning funds and attempting to pass my own compositions off as someone else's." Her gaze locked on Lauren, who sat frozen at a nearby table, the diamond bracelet glittering on her wrist, now appearing more like a shackle than a trophy. Cassandra's smile was cold, precise. "Lauren, you may have thought you were being groomed for success, but you were only ever a pawn in Victor's game. And tonight the board will see exactly who he truly is. Victor attempted to regain control, his voice a desperate snarl as he tried to dismiss her claims as the irrational ravings of a jealous wife. But the evidence displayed before everyone left no room for doubt. Richard Henderson, a senior board member whose investments were critical to the Academy's continued success, stepped forward with a stony expression. "Victor, is this true?" Richard's voice was low but sharp, each word like a hammer. Victor stammered, his confidence shattering under the weight of scrutiny. "There's been a misunderstanding. This is all being blown out of proportion." Cassandra's eyes narrowed, her composure flawless. "The only misunderstanding, Victor, was your belief that I would remain blind to your schemes. You've underestimated me for the last time." She looked toward the journalists seated nearby, their pens scrawling furiously as they documented the spectacle. The New York Times' Michael Grant caught her eye, his expression both impressed and intrigued. The press coverage would be inevitable and ruthless. "Ladies and gentlemen," Cassandra continued, her voice a steady current of authority, "I have provided copies of this evidence to every board member present, as well as the appropriate authorities. What you have witnessed tonight is not merely a marital dispute. It is a matter of integrity, of rightful ownership, and of reclaiming what has been stolen." Victor's complexion had gone ashen, his shoulders slumped under the magnitude of his exposure. Cassandra turned to the board members seated nearby. "I leave it to you to decide whether Victor Blake should continue in his role as executive director. As for me, I will no longer be standing in the shadows of someone who sought to erase my contributions. The Academy was built on my vision, my talent, and my unwavering dedication. Tonight, I reclaim it." Her words resonated through the hall, the final note of a performance Victor would never forget. The fallout from Cassandra's revelation was swift and merciless. The board convened an emergency meeting the very next morning, its members' expressions grim and weary from the scandal that had unfolded so publicly. Richard Henderson, who wielded substantial influence as both a patron and board member, led the discussion with a somber authority. "The evidence presented last night is not only damning, but demonstrates a clear breach of trust and ethical conduct," he stated, his gaze fixed squarely on Victor, who sat hunched over like a man already condemned. With Margaret Caldwell's legal expertise bolstering Cassandra's position, the board voted unanimously to place Victor on indefinite administrative leave, pending a thorough investigation into his financial misconduct. His betrayal had not only shattered their personal relationship, but had also jeopardized the Academy's credibility. His charming veneer was stripped away, leaving only the hollow shell of a man who had built his reputation on deception and stolen acclaim. Cassandra's return to the Academy's leadership was not merely a reinstatement, it was a reclamation. With Victor sidelined and the board's support firmly behind her, she was appointed sole artistic director and executive leader of the New York Philharmonic Academy. Publicly, she remained poised and professional, issuing a carefully worded statement, acknowledging the scandal while reaffirming her commitment to the Academy's artistic integrity and educational mission. Privately, however, she allowed herself a moment to savor the vindication she had earned. For too long her brilliance had been diluted by Victor's shadow, her creativity dismissed in favor of his social prowess and self-promotion. Now, the Academy was truly hers to shape and nurture, free from the poisonous influence of a man who had tried to steal everything she had built. But Cassandra's plans extended beyond personal vengeance. She initiated a complete financial audit of the Academy, determined to root out any remnants of Victor's corruption. Programs that had been neglected under his careless leadership were revived, and new initiatives aimed at inclusivity and artistic innovation flourished under her direction. Cassandra's vision for the Academy expanded, embracing not only classical traditions but contemporary forms of expression that Victor had dismissed as frivolous. Musicians who had once felt marginalized by Victor's favoritism now found their voices heard and their contributions valued. She renamed the academy Aurora Conservatory, a tribute to her late grandmother, who had inspired Cassandra's love of music and whose legacy had funded the academy's inception. Her triumph was not without its own costs. As the scandal spread, Victor's reputation crumbled, and Lauren Spencer, whose ambitions had been built on a foundation of lies, was quietly dismissed from the academy. Yet, Cassandra found herself feeling something akin to pity for the young woman, recognizing in her the same hunger for recognition that had once driven her own rise. Perhaps, in another life, they might have been allies instead of adversaries, but Lauren had made her choices, and Cassandra had made hers. As she stood in her newly renovated office, sunlight pouring through the expansive windows that overlooked the city, Cassandra felt a peace she hadn't known in years. The academy was hers, unapologetically, indisputably hers, and she would see it flourish on her own terms. The betrayal had nearly destroyed her, but it had also given her the clarity and resolve to reclaim her identity and redefine her legacy, and this time, no one would steal it from her. Cassandra Blake emerged from the ruins of her marriage and professional betrayal like a phoenix rising from ashes, her renewed strength evident in every aspect of her life. The academy she had once co-founded and nearly lost was reborn as Aurora Conservatory, its new name symbolizing a fresh dawn and inspired by her late grandmother's enduring passion for the arts. Cassandra poured her energy into revitalizing the institution, implementing innovative programs that encouraged creativity and inclusivity. She expanded the academy's curriculum to embrace contemporary compositions, diverse musical traditions, and interdisciplinary collaborations, an evolution Victor had always resisted. Her vision attracted new patrons and talented artists who admired her bold approach and genuine dedication to the art form. With Victor completely removed from the organization, and the board fully backing her leadership, Cassandra's influence flourished. While the media frenzy surrounding the scandal eventually subsided, the impact of her revelation continued to resonate within the industry. Cassandra's story of betrayal and reclamation became a powerful narrative of resilience and empowerment, inspiring others to reclaim their own identities from those who sought to diminish them. Invitations poured in from prestigious institutions eager to collaborate with the newly rebranded Aurora Conservatory. Even Stephanie Winters, the director of a renowned conservatory who had previously courted Cassandra, expressed admiration for her tenacity and integrity. Though Cassandra graciously declined the offers, she found satisfaction in knowing that her reputation was stronger than ever, built on her own merit, rather than Victor's exploitation. Despite the victory, the scars of betrayal remained. Cassandra acknowledged the pain but refused to let it define her. Instead, she transformed her experiences into motivation, channeling her emotions into her compositions with newfound passion and authenticity. The Academy's inaugural concert under its new name was a triumph. Its centerpiece, a breathtaking orchestral piece Cassandra had written during her darkest days. As the final note echoed through the hall to thunderous applause, Cassandra felt a profound sense of closure. The golden cage Victor had built around her was gone, replaced by an empire of her own making. As she stood before the audience, no longer overshadowed by her past, Cassandra Blake knew she had reclaimed more than just her legacy. She had reclaimed herself. The story of Cassandra Blake's public betrayal and triumphant reclamation resonated with audiences across the internet, propelling it to viral status almost overnight. The emotional appeal of her journey lay in its powerful combination of heartbreak, injustice, and ultimate vindication, universal themes that deeply connect with viewers. The meticulous planning and bold execution of Cassandra's revenge at the Academy's 15th anniversary gala provided a dramatic and satisfying climax, one that left audiences cheering for her strength and courage. Watching Cassandra expose Victor's treachery before a room filled with influential figures felt like a perfectly orchestrated performance, one that delivered poetic justice in the most public and undeniable way. What made the story especially compelling was Cassandra's transformation from a betrayed, overlooked co-founder to a fierce and resolute leader determined to reclaim her identity and legacy. Audiences were drawn to her intelligence, poise, and unwavering commitment to restoring her rightful place at the Academy. Her willingness to confront Victor in front of an elite audience, backed by undeniable evidence, provided a cathartic experience for viewers who have experienced betrayal, manipulation, or professional sabotage. The scene of Cassandra calmly dismantling Victor's facade, with journalists and board members hanging on her every word, became a symbolic moment of empowerment that many found both thrilling and deeply satisfying. Furthermore, the emotional elements of Cassandra's journey were heightened by her decision to rename the Academy Aurora Conservatory, a tribute to her grandmother's legacy and a symbolic gesture of rebirth and renewal. By reclaiming the institution she had built and expanding its vision beyond Victor's limited imagination, Cassandra demonstrated that her success was not merely a reaction to betrayal, but an act of self-determination. This sense of empowerment resonated strongly with viewers, who admired her resilience and creativity. Additionally, the story's virality was amplified by the vivid contrast between Victor's downfall and Cassandra's rise. As Victor's reputation crumbled under the weight of his own deceit, Cassandra's influence grew, validated by her undeniable talent and hard-earned success. The tale became a testament to the power of perseverance and integrity, qualities that audiences across various platforms celebrated and admired. With countless viewers inspired by Cassandra's journey, the story quickly spread through social media, reaction videos, and discussion forums. Cassandra Blake's story was not only one of personal justice, but of reclaiming one's worth, a message that resonated far beyond the walls of the Academy.